Thanks for joining us online today. If you've been impacted by this ministry and have a story to share of how God is working in your life, we would love to hear it. Send an email to amen@anchorpoint.tv. Also, you can help bring messages just like this one to others who need to hear the hope and the love of Jesus by investing today at anchorpoint.tv/give. Now, we hope you enjoy today's message.
It is so good to see you here this morning. If I hadn't had an opportunity to meet you, my name is Todd. Get the incredible privilege to serve as the lead pastor here along with my wife. And we just love what God is doing in this season. And I want to take a minute before we dive in and say just a special thanks to all of our dream teamers who made our women's conference possible. Last weekend was just a full weekend, and it would not be possible without men and women who serve and put others above themselves. And incredible conference. But on Sunday morning, we had over 1,000 people attend one of our 4 worship experiences last Sunday morning, and we baptized 32 people. And I want to say thank you. And it is, I know it's tight in here today. In fact, we have some people standing. If you got some room in your row, if you would slide together so we know that there is a seat available in the end, we may be able to stick one in there. If we got groups to sit together, guys, it's going to be difficult. I think we have some people in the lobby today. And I do want to let you know, if you're a guest, keep coming to the 10 o'clock. If this is your home church, hey, if you got some flexibility in your schedule, we have space at our 11:30 worship experience. We will open up a little bit of seating here, which make it a little bit more comfortable for us. If you can help us with that and you're a member here, make plans to do that next week. And because we have so many new people, I do want to let you know, they'll talk a little bit about the end of the message, but next Sunday we have Grow Plan. And if you're wanting to get connected to our church, Grow Plan is the avenue to do this. If you want to grow in your faith, Grow Plan helps you do that. You want to find your gifts and your talents and your purpose, Grow Plan is the avenue of which you do that. Can you tell there's a common theme? You need to go to the Grow Plan to be part of that. And we have so many things for you to be able to connect, and Grow Plan is one of them. Small groups are in full swing. In fact, after the 11:30 service, 1 o'clock today, we have a missions interest meeting. We go on a mission trip every year. July 2020, we're headed back to Ecuador. And I think every Christian at some point in your spiritual journey should try to attend a mission trip, if all possible, if you're physically able. And so if you want some more information on that, we'd love to have you go with us, because I think it will grow and stir your faith to a whole new level. If you got your message guide when you came in, you go ahead and grab that. We're in the final week of a series called Mind Games, and we've been kind of talking about how to handle fear and depression and anxiety and stress and what that really looks like, because our minds are so powerful. And the reality of what we've been looking at over the last several weeks is that our minds determine our destiny. Our minds determine our destiny. And we want to take a moment and also welcome our online audience. You're watching on Facebook. We have an online host that would love to greet you as well. And so you can let us know you're watching there, and you'll be able to follow along with the notes there too. Nothing in our life will change until we change the way we think. So the last 3 weeks, we've kind of looked at this pathways and patterns and what that really begins to formulate in our lives. And then last week, we looked at our perspective. So that's 3 P's. So you know I'm a preacher. I got to add another P. Today, I want to kind of talk about our potential. Everybody said the word potential. Our potential. And I really do believe that this sermon may have the most potential to impact our life in a meaningful way. In fact, if you're jotting down notes, the title I want to speak to you from today is Hold That Thought. Hold that thought. Because all of us are holding thoughts. Some of us are holding healthy thoughts. Some of us are holding toxic thoughts. Some of us are holding accurate thoughts. Some of us are holding misinformed thoughts. In fact, I found out that a thought will get lodged in your mind at a young age. And I didn't know this when I was younger, but as a parent, I became more aware that parents lie to children. How many of you would agree that your parents lied to you? Come on, raise your hand. All right. How many of you have passed that sin down to your generation? You say you have lied. Come on. Some of you are so sick. You lied to your kids about lying. You did. You told them if they lie, you said something like a red spot's going to show up on their forehead, their tongue's going to turn black. So every time they start to tell you, stick out your tongue. You put the fear of mom, not the fear of God, you put the fear of mama in them. Lied. How many of you, your parents told you that when you made a funny face, your face was going to get stuck that way? How many parents told you that? Liar. Liar. I mean, we had all kinds of these growing up. If you pee in the pool, it'll turn a different color. How many heard that one? How many of you peed in the pool anyway? Hey! You know. Some of you, man, I'm telling you, man, parents told all kinds of lies. How many of you told takes 7 years, if you swallow your gum, 7 years to digest gum? Yeah. That is why there's gum everywhere. Under every desk, at the bleachers. Why? Because we're scared to death. That stuff's going to be sitting inside of us. That passes through your body the same way everything else does, okay? It's just, the way it does. I told my kids when they were young and Carter was playing with his belly button, I said, if you keep playing with your belly button, it's going to come unraveled and your butt will fall off. I mean, he never played with his belly button again. I remember we went to a seafood restaurant. Graham said, I don't like fish. I said, don't worry about it, baby. That's fish chicken. To this day, he will eat fish chicken. It doesn't matter where we go. Oh, that's fish. Okay, I like fish chicken. Daddy taught me. Lying. And here's the deal, man. That thought will get lodged in our thoughts from a young age, and we'll hold on to that thought. And in fact, some of you still won't go swimming until after 30 minutes after you eat. It is just lodged inside of you. And here's why. The content of your thoughts will determine the direction of your life. In fact, if you're a note taker, I want you to jot down our key thought like this. We'll throw it on the screens. That our life today is a result of our thinking yesterday. The life that you are currently experiencing is a result of your thinking yesterday. Pastor Craig Rochelle of Life Church said this: our lives will always move in the direction of our strongest thoughts. So our life today is a result of our thinking yesterdays. And when I jotted down this thought for me, I just started thinking, well, you guess what? Today matters. Like today has amazing potential because today is the only day that can affect tomorrow. Can I tell you something? Your yesterday cannot change your tomorrow, your past, your mistakes, but today can change tomorrow. And here's what I know about everybody in the room. We all have blind spots in our lives. Places we can't see, situations we can't discern or understand. We miss the big picture. We jump to conclusions. So you have two options with your yesterday. You have two options with today, and that's either regret or recognition. Regret about what you did or what you didn't do. Regret about the choices you made or didn't make. Reliving your past, replaying your failures. You can live a life of regret. Or you can recognize, instead of regret of yesterday, you can recognize the amazing potential that I have today. That today I can create the future that I want tomorrow. That I can have the marriage I want tomorrow starting today. I can have the faith I want tomorrow starting today. You don't have to wait for 2020 in January for a new you. A new you can start today because Jesus did not come and die on a cross so that you could cope. He came and died on a cross so that you could be more than a conqueror. And I'm telling you, you can have faith today. You can have peace today. You can have hope today. I'm telling you, the enemy has talked you out of a lot of things that God has in store for you. But the devil's roar is always bigger than his reach, and you got the potential of today. If you're with me, say amen. Today. The problem is, the issue is, many of us are unwilling to invest the amount of time it takes to transform our tomorrow. So what I want to do at the end of this series is, this is kind of like a gumbo sermon, okay? And good gumbo just has a lot of stuff in it, all right? And I had so many extra notes. I'm like, man, I just want to give you everything I got. It's going to be a little bit more teachery than preachery, but I want to give you everything I got because I want to leave you in the best state to be able to win the struggle within. To win the struggle within. So I'm going to give you three thoughts, or really they're three decisions that if you want to win within, these are three decisions from Scripture that will help you live up to the potential that God has designed and called you to live to. So if you're a note taker, you can jot them down. The first one is this. Jot down the first one. You got to evaluate your words. I'm telling you, you want to win the battle within, you got to evaluate the words you speak. And here's why. Because there's a connection between your mind and your mouth. Come on and say amen. Hey. And I'm telling you right now, people talk about what they think about. If you've ever had a where did that come from moment, I don't know. Yeah, I do. Yeah, inside of you. That's where that came from. And our mouths will get us in trouble. Oh, come on, don't you dare. Come on, man. Don't look at me like that, man. Our words will get us. I told you last week about an issue I had in high school, but I had a little bit of mouth on me when I was younger, too. And I remember one time I I smarted off to my mama. Anybody ever smarted off to your mama? I did that one time because we didn't have time out. My mama had knock you out. That's what we had. Somebody like, my kid ain't time out. The time out we had is the time it took my mom to find that belt. Come on, somebody. My words got me in trouble. I remember a few years ago during the polar vortex. Y'all remember the polar vortex? You know, we actually had a little bit of an ice storm down here, and so I had to give the staff the day off, and so we were leaving the office because the ice was coming, and, you know, we were all going to die, you know. And so I was like, hey, what everybody going to do with your day off? And I didn't know what this meant. I was trying to be hip and cool, and this term had just came out, but I didn't know what it meant, so I just told my staff, I'm like, well, me and Avery, we're going to watch Netflix and chill. That's what I thought. Now, like, the reason only about 15 people in the room is laughing is because you think that Netflix and chill is Netflix and chill. And that's what I thought. I mean, I was trying to be cool, you know, we Netflixing and chilling and stuff. And they just laughing and laughing. Like, what are you going to do again, Pastor? I'm like, man, we on Netflix and chill. I'm like, if y'all ain't got nothing to do, y'all can come over and Netflix and chill with us. If you Google Netflix and chill, the Urban Dictionary would tell you it is a description that young people use for sexual activity. Just told my whole staff, come over and Netflix and chill. My in-laws are in this room. Graham did show up 9 months later. I'm just saying. You gotta watch your words. And those are funny examples that many of us have used our words to wound other people. We have used our words to cause destruction and division within our own families. And your words have the power to change your thinking. In fact, many of us, the struggle in our minds starts with the words we speak. And you could look, there were 7 to 8 proverbs about your words. I want to show you the most powerful one. It's Proverbs 18:21. It says this, your tongue has the what? Your tongue has the power. Come on, you got to get that in your spirit. Your tongue has the power of life and death. Our words are powerful. James, the brother of Jesus, said your words are so powerful that your words will direct your life. Like if you're on a boat, the little rudder in the back, it will direct. Your tongue can direct your life. It says that your tongue has the power of direction. James, the brother of Jesus, also said your tongue has the power of destruction. That when you sow discord, it's like a fire that you light with your tongue, and it burns down everything you tried to build. And we have a choice. Do we speak life-giving words or life-taking words? Our words have power. In fact, the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because our words fuel our mindsets. And it's our mindsets that determine our approach to life. It's our mindsets that determine our emotional and spiritual well-being. It's your mindset that determines that your health of your relationships. And I have figured out we can be on the edge of a breakthrough and miss it. Not because God's not able, not because we're not ready. We miss it because of a mindset. So you're like, you have a scripture for that? I sure do. Numbers 13. Numbers 13, the nation of Israel has come out of Egypt. They're going into the promised land with Moses. Moses said, hey, we're going to send 12 spies to spy out the land. They go into the land that God has promised them, the promised land. And that land is awesome. The Bible says that it's a big land, but there's some big enemy there. There's Canaanites and Hittites and the most feared of all, the Cellulites. They're all there in the land. And you go in and you spy out the land. And they said that there was great provision in the land. There was grapes, and the grape cluster was so big, they had a pole and 2 men carried on it. And they came back and they said, this is awesome. It is exactly how God described it, except for the fact there were 10 of them, 10 out of 12. And I would tell you, I think 10 out of 12 of your thoughts are negative. 10 out of 12 said, it's a great land, but it's too much for us. It's a great land, but the giants are too big. In fact, they said this, we look like grasshoppers compared to them. Notice it said, we look like. This is how we view us. And there were 2 spies, 2 children of Israel. Joshua and Caleb said, yeah, but we can take them. And then the words that they spoke determined whether they spent 40 years in the wilderness or the next 40 days conquering the promised land. And you got to decide, are you a grasshopper or a giant killer? Because it's up to you. The issue is not God's ability. The issue is our faith. God is more than able. It's the words that we speak. And the words we could speak will either amplify our limitation or amplify our expectation. Now, I want to be careful here, because I think we can drift into an unhealthy theological premise. And it's been moved throughout church. This name it and claim it. And if you're single, I'm naming and claiming 6'4", tall, dark, and handsome, loves God, Jesus, got a job making $100,000 and loves me. He will be sitting on my front porch when I get home. No, he won't, And that's not naming and claiming. We're not talking about that. Our words have creative power, but they also have limited power. In fact, some of you want in a spouse what you are unwilling to give that spouse. But anyway, that's a different sermon for a different time. Others of you, I want $1 million. I'm praying right now, God, give me $1 million in the check in the mail. That's not the way this works. That's blab it and grab it, name it and claim it. I want to talk to you about the power of possibility. See, words inform my mind of what is possible. And the power of possibility has nothing to do with millions of dollars and what I want to see, but everything to do with who God is. And the reality is sometimes you have to sow what you want to see. See, your words are like seeds, and you reap what you sow. So words are just seeds. So if I need kindness, then I need to sow words of kindness. You want to improve your marriage? You want to improve your personal relationships? If you need encouragement, then sow encouragement, because you got to sow what you want to see. If you need affirmation, sow affirmation. If you need peace, sow peace. If you need hope, sow hope. We cannot expect to reap what we are unwilling to sow. And you got to walk this out, because it is a small changes in the words you speak will make a big difference in the life you have. And here's the deal. It's not that what you went through isn't true. It's that I know something that is truer. That's a bad grammar, but great theology. It's not that you haven't failed. It's that I know I'm not a failure. I am not my mistakes. I am not my issue. I am not the label they gave me. I'm not the thing I did. I'm not the sin I committed. I'm a blood-bought child of God. It's not that I didn't. I know something that is truer. It's not that I've never failed. It's not that I've never let anyone down. It's not that I don't fear. No, I don't let fear paralyze me anymore, because God didn't give me a spirit of fear, but a power and love and a sound mind. I want to speak it until I begin to see it in my life. In fact, sometimes you got to speak it before you feel it. Well, isn't that emotionalism? No, that's faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So sometimes I got to sow faith into my future to reap it in my tomorrow. I got to say to the devil, I'm not backing down anymore. I'm armed. I'm ready for battle. I'm not laying this aside. I'm not walking away scared. No, I'm ready for the fight of my life, and I'm going to do what God has called me to do and speak words of life. Come on, if you're with me, say amen. Second thing is, you got to evaluate your words. Second thing, number 2, you got to establish some guardrails. Establish some guardrails. Guardrails are intentional barriers that protect us from danger. Now, parents do this all the time. Don't go there. Don't touch that. Don't put that in your mouth. It's like we do this all the time. And we did this a few years ago in my house. We cut the cable. Now, I'm not telling you to go home and cut your cable, okay? I'm not telling you the cable is horrible, but maybe this is a thought that got lodged in my brain, because my grandmother called the TV the one-eyed television. We grew up holiness, okay? My grandmother never wore jeans in public. So I remember my mom, she didn't go to the movie theater. She didn't let us go to the movie theater. We couldn't have a VCR. Some of you are like, what's a VCR? Google it. And so a few years ago, we just made the decision, hey, we're cutting off cable. There's some stuff on there that is just nasty. There's some stuff on there that I'm putting a guardrail in. I'm not allowing this in my house. There's one particular network that it just had to go. It's called HGTV. I said, not in my house. Things of the devil. Every time my wife watched it, we start spending money. And they lie. They make it look easy. I tear my house halfway up. I ain't got no tools. I said, we ain't doing that. They ought to change that to the you can't do this network. That's what they should change that to. Gotta put a guardrail in. Because guardrail keep the good in and the bad out. Here's what Proverbs says about guardrails. 25:28. Like a city's whose what? A city's whose walls are broken is the person who lacks self-control. Like a person who doesn't have a boundary. Walls in the Old Testament represented three things: strength, stability, and security. Strength, stability, and security. So the writer of Proverbs says, when you put a boundary, when you put self-control in your life, it will give you strength, stability, and security. Here's why we need boundaries: because we can know the right thing and still do the wrong thing. Okay, let me rephrase that. I can know the right thing and still do the wrong thing. And when you have no guardrails in your life, you have no self-control of your life. If I could break it down a little more, this is just me, maybe you're better than I am. Until I set healthy boundaries, I always push unhealthy ones. And let me just get everybody on the same level. Let me put the cookies on the bottom shelf for everybody here by watching online. Let me just put it on the bottom shelf. Everybody in this room is one step away from stupid. We are one step away from ruining our lives, making a stupid decision. One step away from ruining our marriage. One step away. Because we don't have a boundary. And we got to have these guardrails. And here's why: because we have triggers. Triggers. We live in the most triggered generation in history. In fact, if you don't know what the word trigger means, trigger is basically a reminder that emits an emotional response. And we think about it in terms of like PTSD, and things like that, and different things that trigger, but it can be different things that trigger sadness or anxiety or stress. In fact, some of the triggers I was thinking about, they say psychology tells us that our sense of smell is one of the most closely tied to our sense of memory, that you can smell a smell. You can smell somebody cooking something on a stove that you haven't smelled or thought of in 30 years, and your mind will go back to your grandma's house, won't it? You know, it's smell. Other ones are songs. Like you hear a song and you are transported back to 1985 with a mullet and a T-top. It's like, man, whoa, living on a prayer. You will forget that you got kids in the back seat driving a minivan. You are there. Triggers. Some of us is images. In fact, I found out why the majority of Alabama fans don't like cats. The Auburn Tigers. The LSU Tigers. The Clemson. Translation, cats are evil. I mean, it's triggers. Triggers. I've learned that you can't outrun triggers. You have to outsmart them and outwork them. And this is where we deal with our issues. And if you're here thinking, well, I ain't got no issue, that's your issue. I have found out the reason that many times we cannot figure out how to win the battle within is we are too busy looking at others outwardly. We are too busy monitoring others' behavior. And it starts young. Your kids monitor other kids' behaviors. It's called tattletelling. And then if God blesses you and they get old enough, they will monitor your behavior. They will. My son right now, he tells me every time I'm speeding. I'm like, son, they give you 5, maybe 10. Leave me alone. Guardrails will help you win the battle before the battle. And I know today's a little bit more heavy, but I want to be like that personal trainer in your life that helps you live the life God designed for you. Now, I'll throw them on the screens. When it comes to my mind and it comes to decisions and different things, you don't have to do these, because I think guardrails need to be self-imposed. Because if I impose a guardrail on you, that's called religion. When you pray and you get God's word for your life, that's called relationship. And these are just some guardrails in my own life that help me mentally. And so if you like them, you can take them. But one of the things that I do is I wait on big decisions. I wait on big decisions. What does that mean? That means I don't make a big decision when I'm on a mountaintop or in a valley because my perspective is probably not accurate. I don't make big decisions on a high or a low because I'm probably not going to make the most accurate decision. So I just like, if it's going to be a big decision, I got to sleep on it. I need to make sure I'm even keel. Weigh on big decisions. Me and my wife are two different. My wife wanted to buy when we were house shopping, she wanted to buy every house we walked into. Oh, let's buy this one. It's awesome. I'm like, let's go home and sleep on it and don't tell people we want it because we can't get a good deal. I want to weigh on big decisions. I want to get godly advice on big decisions. So you sleep on it, man. Let me tell you something. If you're thinking about walking out on your marriage, don't do it in a fight. Don't do it right after you fight. You need to sleep on that thing and make sure you're making the appropriate decision for your life, your family, and your kids. Here's another one. When I'm overwhelmed, solitude helps me. Solitude. Sometimes we got to get away from the noise and the people. You read the Gospels and find out how many times Jesus withdrew from the crowd. It's not because he didn't love people. He needed a perspective so he could help them better. And sometimes, I'm telling you right now, it's called the power of the pause. You need to pause life. Well, Pastor, it must be easy for you, but Pastor, there's always somebody calling me and texting me and needing something to me and reaching out to me, and I just gotta be. Did you know your phone has a pause button? It's called the power button. The power. You see what I'm going? The power of the pause. And I'm telling you right now, if you walked out through these doors and you turn this device on, let me turn this device off. The world will keep turning without you. What if they need something? They can leave a message. It'll be there when you get back. Because let me tell you something, you're not God. And you're not sustaining the world. And if you're trying to sustain your world, then you're doing it in your own strength and you'll end up tired, exhausted, and empty. I'm trying to help somebody today. Here's another one. For me, I just try to limit toxic influences. You do what you want to do. You can watch what you want to watch. You can listen to what you want to listen to. You really can. But for me, and my house, we guard the gate. We guard this gate and this gate. We guard the gate. Because I make enough dumb decisions on my own. I don't need help. Come on, somebody. I don't need help. My mind don't mind as it is. So I'm telling you, social media, I got the unfollow button. I got the block feature. I wish some people in real life had a block button on their head. Block you. I ask, is this healthy? Is this harmful? When it comes to technology, when it comes to people, I'm limiting toxic. Why? Because the most unhealthy areas of my life have always been areas I haven't had guardrails. The areas that I ended up being held captive are areas that I didn't put a boundary in place. The areas the enemy has tormented me over have been areas I thought I could handle. And I wonder if anybody in this room, where are you living on the edge of disaster? And when was the last time you asked God to save you from you? Because most of the time it wasn't other people, it wasn't even the devil, it was my choices. It was my action, it was my desire. And I just wonder as a church, when's the last time we hit our knees and said, God, search my heart. Quit worrying about the culture and worry about the culture of your heart, the culture of your home, the culture of your mind. When's the last time you said, God, I need you to look in here. And if there's anything in here that is not pleasing to you, God, I surrender it. God, get it out of my life. Oh, you want other people to pray to get it out of your life, but when's the last time you asked God to make you sick over your own sin? I know it's heavy, but I'm going right because God wants to do something in your heart. And I'm telling you, until you get serious with God, it will stay the same. Until you get serious in prayer, it will stay the same. Oh, you can fix it for a moment. You can willpower it for a week, but you need the Spirit of the living God to do something on the inside of you, transform you, heal you, remake you, redefine you, and recreate you into the image of His Son. Gotta get serious. And here's the thing about guardrails. They only work if you put them in place before you need them. So where do you need a guardrail? Where's your blind spot? And maybe you can think of them, but I want to pray that God would illuminate them in your mind. He said, hey, we need to decide we're not going there. We're not doing that. I'm not calling my wife that anymore. Some of you need to apologize to your spouse because you have wounded them with the words you speak, and you need to put a guardrail. Hey, we're not yelling at each other anymore. I'm not demeaning you anymore. Some of you need to put a guardrail in with your kids. You know, I'm not tearing you down. I'm not doing it anymore. Number three. I think we got to erase the script. We all have a script in our brain that we replay. It's called internal dialogue. How many of you talk to yourself? Raise your hand. Talk to yourself. How many of you talk to yourself out loud? You talk to yourself out loud? How many answer yourself out loud? God, right now, touch these weird people. And she's... I just kid. We all do. But that's the deal. We got to change the internal dialogue. And there's times that I'm probably too transparent to be a pastor. I really probably am. There are times, my internal dialogue feels like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. There's times that like my internal dialogue is like good, and I got like confidence, and the Lord is on the throne. And I'm telling you, I'm not even, it could be an hour later. Come on, somebody. And I'm telling you, the world is ending, and God is nowhere to be found. Ooh, you know. It's internal dialogue. So we gotta erase the script and get the one from God. Because internal unhealthy dialogue always harms your future potential. In fact, here's a verse that David was writing in Psalm 19, verse 14. And it's one of the most famous quoted verses, but I want you to just see this. He said this, may the words of my mouth, because my words have power. My words have power. And the what? And the meditation of my heart. So that's the internal script. Be pleasing. I'm putting a boundary in place. I'm putting a guardrail. That I want the meditation of my heart to be pleasing in your sight. And then he affirms who God is. Lord, my rock and my redeemer. So what is the meditation of your heart? Because most of us in this room are not naturally positive. Now some of you, you're like... Like you could have the worst news in the world. God's good all the time. All the time, God is good. Man, you can come on up too. But most of us aren't naturally like that. In fact, many of us have been replaying an internal script for 10 years or 20 years or 50 years, and it has become the script that you play by default. And if we continue to fix things on the surface level, you will have to sustain that in your own strength. So we need God to fix the meditation of our heart. Because some of you have told yourself things that you would never tell another individual. Some of you have said things to yourself. Come on up, man. Some of you have said things to yourself that you would never tell anybody else. You've told yourself why you are the way you are. You've told yourself why this and why that. You've told yourself that you can't accomplish what God has called you to accomplish, which tells me you think you know better than God. Run yourself down in your mind. And I can't tell you, you cannot run yourself down in your mind and expect victory to flow from your life. You've got to erase the script. You've got to start asking the question, where did that come from? where did that come from? And if it didn't come from God, it can't stay in my mind any longer. And you can't be afraid of that battle. I was thinking about David, who wrote Psalm 19. The thoughts and the script that must have been in his mind, because you got to understand, David was the youngest of all the brothers, and Samuel, the priest, shows up at David's house in Bethlehem, and house his dad's Jesse, and he says, Jesse, I'm here to anoint one of your sons king. And Jesse goes and gets all the sons, but not David. How would you like to be David? Your father didn't think enough about you to even bring you in the house. And I wonder the script that was being written. In fact, he gets anointed king, and they send him back out to the field. I wonder the script that was being written. Years later, his dad calls him in for the field and says, hey, I need you to get some cheese pizza because you're going to be Papa John's delivery to your brothers on the battle lines. So you just be the delivery boy and you take these resources down to them. So he gets the cheese pizza and he takes it down. He walks into the valley of Elah, and there is a giant named Goliath, this Philistine that is shouting obscenities against God. He walks up to his brothers and says, hey, what are y'all going to do about this? What are you going to do? He said, what are you going to do about this uncircumcised Philistine? That's Christian cussing. He's like, this uncircumcised. And they said, don't you have some sheep to tend? Don't you have a harp to play? Boy, get back to the field. And I wonder the script that was being written in his mind. But David had a different view of things. David had a different thought. He said, my God has prepared me for this moment. And I killed a lion and I killed a bear. And I'm telling you right now, this uncircumcised Philistine will fall in the mighty name of my God. I'm not backing down from this battle.